Mick and Sandra here from Mudbrick Herb Cottage. It's summertime in the garden, means chilies. This one's got a heat rating between medium and hot.
Which is about 30,000 to 50,000 Scoville units.
I reckon we should test it, Mick. You like tasting stuff out of the garden.
Okay, I'll give it a go. Got a bit of heat. It's getting hotter.
Your face is getting redder.
Where's the milk, Sandra? My eyes are watering. But
They are. Let's go check the ginger family in the kitchen garden. In winter we looked at the turmeric and it was all starting to die back, and it's come away really nicely at the end of spring and early summer, and so it's really powering now, and we'll get some really good growth over the summer months. We've also got some other plants from the same family. So we've got the Krachai, which is also known as finger root because it has sort of these long rhizomes like fingers clumped together. And
very popular in Thai cooking.
Yeah, Thai cooking and Indonesian cooking. They use it in the satay sauces and things like that. And then this one here is
Camphora rotunda.
Camphoria, and it's sometimes called round ginger. This one's really interesting because it gets a really pretty flower when it first comes back. So there's nothing there because it dies back in winter. And then in spring you'll see the little white and purple flowers. Purple flowers, it's really more purple. And then you know the plant's going to come back. So we've also got ginger in a pot here, which makes it easier to harvest. We also have some in the garden just over there as well, which is more established. But this one we divide up every year. So it's really good having it in a pot just outside your kitchen, so you can just come in and cut some out and use it straight away. But it's easy to grow ginger. You can just grow it from a piece of ginger that you've bought from the shop. And just pop it in the ground and it'll shoot away in early summer, late spring.
And by the end of the season, that pot will be full of ginger.
Yeah. So now we'll have a look at the different basil varieties. This one here is a bit unusual. You won't see this everywhere. It's green pepper basil, and it's a perennial basil, so you've got it all year round. It does self-seed very easily as well, so you just need to keep on top of that. The flavour of this basil is quite different to the rest. It has more of I suppose it's a bit like peppery, but a bit like a capsicum-y sort of flavour, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we've got some more over here.
Greek basil over there?
Greek basil. So the Greek basil is also known as like a Greek bush basil because it does get quite tall and wide eventually. And the leaves are a lot smaller than the common sweet basil.
Tender perennial?
Yeah, a tender perennial. So in our garden, if we get a cold winter, we'll lose it. But if you have a fairly warm garden, it'll go right through. Some years it goes right through for us, doesn't it, Nick?
Yeah.
The flavour's quite good. I quite like using it in any dishes where I use sweet basil.
Sweet basil, yeah.
Even though the flavour is a little bit different. We've got another one that looks similar, which is the Thai bush basil. So it's also a tender perennial as well. And it has a bit more of an aniseed flavour, doesn't it?
Like the annual Thai basil, but it's a lot easier to grow.
So much easier to grow and really nice in any of your Thai dishes, stir fries, that type of thing. Even with pesto, it still makes a nice pesto.
Yeah.
The sweet basil, I guess you remember last year in winter when our sweet basils were looking really sad. Well, we've planted these new ones and they're coming along really nicely. These are starting to flower, which is okay, but if we want to create a really nice bushy basil plant, we need to trim the bush back, as opposed to a lot of people just come along and just pull leaves off, and that way you end up with just all these stalks. Whereas if you cut back, so say you want to make a pesto and you want a fair bit, you might cut right down to there just above the node, and that will then shoot out from there and you'll get a nice branched effect. So I just go down like that, take these ones that are going to seed here. Oh, caught on the other one. And that way you're really creating a bushier plant and you've got all this lovely basil to make a pesto with. Oh, it smells beautiful. Basil really is the smell of summer. What's your favourite meal with basil, Mick?
Ooh, I think I like it on our pizzas that we make, the margarita pizzas.
Yeah, in our pizza oven.
In our pizza oven.
Oh, look, smell that.
Great.
I mean, how gorgeous is that just to take to a friend's place? There's a lovely bunch of flowers. Another couple of basils we've got here. We've got the Thai holy basil.
Still a bit small yet.
Bit small, but it's coming along, yeah.
Yeah.
It's another one that will go through in warmer climates. But this is one that Talia uses in her chicken basil dish. Yeah. We might get her to make that.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
And show,
Once we get a bit
everyone
more
how to make a chicken basil dish.
Authentic Thai dish.
Yeah. This one here, this is the holy basil Tulsi, and this is the one that they grow in India in front of temples and outside their houses. Tulsi Krishna. So there's a few different ones, isn't there? There's Tulsi Varna, Tulsi Krishna.
And all of those have a bit of a clovey sort of scent.
Yeah. It's actually in our Heart Love tea as well, the Tulsi Krishna. It's a lovely herb.
And then down over the other side, we have the
African blue basil
and the perennial
basil.
Even though they're both perennials, really.
Yeah, they're both perennials.
Yeah.
The African blue has a deep purple
leaf
tinge to it, and flower is a bit more pinky purple, and the perennial is more green, isn't it?
Yeah, they flower a lot and the bees love them, don't they, as well?
They're a really, really, really good bee plant.
Yep.
The African blue basil is such a pretty plant and the bees just love it.
And they are true perennials. They tend to last all year round in our climate.
Yeah. So many varieties of basil, you might be a bit confused about which one to choose, but any of them are a great addition to the herb garden and very useful.
Okay, in our winter and spring garden, you might remember these Asian greens. We had the giant red mustard, which in the winter garden was all purple and lush looking.
It's the cold that does that.
That gives it that colour. Then in spring, it was nearly 2 metres high with all flowers and seeds on it. So they've gone now, and then these are new ones that have just reseeded. Same with the mustard streaks. Now it's starting to flower. They won't get as big in summer, but we'll still get plenty to pick off them. And we tend to not have to plant them again. They just generally keep reseeding.
Look at that, the Perilla Brittons that we left there. We spoke about them in the spring video, and they just popped up, and we said we were going to leave a couple of them.
There was hundreds.
There was hundreds of them. We left these 3, and look how tall they are now. They're looking really good, aren't they?
Yep.
Calamint. So this little plant is just so pretty, and it flowers for most of the year. It has a nice minty flavour, so it's great in a herbal tea. Just beautiful in the garden, isn't it?
Yeah. Even if you don't use it, it's a nice ornamental plant.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. Let's go to the
Echinacea.
Echinacea. So an Echinacea is another one of those plants that dies back in winter. So the root stays in the ground and then it shoots away again in spring and comes into beautiful flower in summer. So this Echinacea is about 3 years old, and each year it's gotten a bit taller. This will probably be as tall as it gets,
Yeah, I'd say that's maximum height now.
Yeah. So it's also known as purple coneflower. This variety is Echinacea purpurea. It's easier to grow here than the angustifolia and has quite good medicinal uses. The root, leaf and flower are all used medicinally. And when the kids were little, we used to make a tincture every year from the plants. We had some old plants down in another garden, and we'd dig the roots, chop the roots up, the leaf and the flower, and pour vodka over them and let them sit for about 4 weeks, and then pour them off, and we had our own tincture. So we'd use that sort of when the kids were going back to school after holidays, or when there was a lot of cold and flu around, or when they had a cold and flu.
Because it helps to build your immune system.
Yeah, it helps to build your immune system, which makes it really good for so many different problems that you can have, antiseptic and antibacterial. So it's a really good herb. The bees and butterflies love Echinacea as well. It's just a really pretty addition to the garden. Once again, even if you don't use it, it's so gorgeous as it is. You can just make a simple tea out of the leaf and flower as well. And if you chew on the cone part, you can taste the alkamides, which give you that tingling sensation.
A tingle on the tongue.
And that's how you know if you're going to buy Echinacea from the shop and you know, from the chemist or health food shop, and you taste it, it should have a real tingling sensation, and then you know it's got plenty of the alkamides in it. A beautiful herb, Echinacea. Okay, before we go out the back, we should just check out the TCM garden. because the Baikal skullcap's in flower.
Yeah, yeah.
Look at it, it's beautiful. And the sweet wormwood.
Yes.
So these are the plants that were little babies
In our spring.
in our spring video.
Yeah.
So even though sweet wormwood is a plant that is short-lived,
Yeah.
you can see that it self-seeds itself very easily and grows really, really big, doesn't
And we
it?
tend to just get a continuous run of them.
Yeah. So it's good to see that, because
People worry sometimes when they get a little plant that's starting to go to seed straight away. They think they're gonna, that's it.
That's
but these
it, but
just, you need to let them
this
reseed.
came from one plant over here, and it's
Yeah.
just kept self-seeding. So it's a really good example of a short-lived annual still producing really well, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Can't believe the cleanses today.
So this is the turmeric that we looked at in the winter video when it was all dying back and, you know, ready to go to sleep.
We dug that root up. Yeah.
Yeah. But have a look at it now. How good does it look?
Yeah.
There's some flowers in there somewhere.
Oh, yep. There's one of them.
You can use the flower in salads and stir fries. Well, this whole calyxy part actually, this is actually the flower in here, to be precise. Beautiful flower. You don't normally realise there's such a beautiful flower on a turmeric plant. They hide underneath the big leaves. So in the spring video,
Yep.
this was all just starting to shoot back, and now you can see it's like full of leaves. We've had most of its flowers have been and gone. It's beautiful in flower. You can see a few little leftover flowers there, and it's now producing the berries. So the berries, they're still not quite ripe enough yet. They sort of turn a little bit of a greyish sort of colour, blacky, quite darker than that. And you can pick those off and use them. Actually, we'll have a look at that other Vitex too, the Chinese one.
Vitex,
Yeah. It looks really pretty at the moment.
Yeah.
So this is Vitex Nagundo. It's used in traditional Chinese medicine, and they value it for its use for bronchitis. It has a few different uses, but it's quite different in its actions to the Vitex agnus castus.
And it's the leaves that are used in this one.
The leaves, yeah, the leaves are used. And just next to it here, we've got Galangal, and it's all in flower, so that's really good to see. That flowers during summer.
And it's here all year round. It doesn't die back like the other gingers.
Yeah, which is good. So, but the roots are what's mainly used in this as well. So, or the rhizomes really. So you dig them up, and it's really popular in Thai and Southeast Asian cooking.
Yeah.
The galangal. You can buy it at the supermarket now. The galangal rhizomes.
Easy to grow.
Yeah, easy to grow. Actually, it's easy to grow, but it's a bit hard to dig up. So
Sometimes, yeah.
growing it in a pot sometimes is a really good idea, just so that it's easier to get the rhizomes out. Yeah.
Okay, let's go and take a look at the bog garden.
A funny garden because it doesn't always look that great, does it?
No, most of the things die back in the winter time.
Yeah. So summer's a good time to have a look at it for the first time. And we put this here because of the runoff from the nursery.
Yep, we water in the retail part of the nursery here a couple of times a day, and sometimes 3 times a day in summer, so it's always really wet here and nothing much would grow, so we had to find something that would work in this garden.
Yeah.
Ideal spot for these sort of plants.
Yeah. So one of the plants that does look okay all year round is the self-heal. That's this little one here. So it hugs the ground. It loves the moisture. It has beautiful flowers. It's coming to the end of its flowering now, but you can see a few nice little flower buds there still.
It's as tough as anything,
It's
isn't
a really tough herb, providing it gets enough water. Well, it even grows without a lot of water, doesn't it? It used to be known as carpenter's herb because they'd use it, you know, when they bash their hands or cut themselves. It's an astringent herb and is also used for colds and flus as well as a tea. Then this herb here is Boneset. So Boneset is another one that dies right back to the ground. You don't see it, and then spring comes along and it shoots away again. This is going to look really beautiful when it comes out in flower. It's got really big white
Umbels
flower.
of white flowers, yeah.
Looks really good. Interesting shaped leaf.
Yep.
And it's a great herb for colds and flu, fevers, particularly flus that you get that aching, you know, oh, my bones are aching, it's good for that.
Yeah, and it was one the American Indians used to use, wasn't it?
Yes, I think they used it for fevers as well. So it's mainly the leaves and flowers that are used on this one, on the Boneset. We can have a look at the Figwort right here. I love this, it's so interesting. It sort of looks like little brown
helmets.
Yes, this is Figwort. So Figwort's used for lymphatic, it's a good lymphatic herb. Also is an anti-inflammatory herb as well. But just such a pretty growing plant. It does grow all year round, but after it flowers, you really should cut it back, and it doesn't do much during winter, and then shoots away really nicely in spring, as you can see. This one here is Goat's Rue. It's grown really well this year, and it's starting to come into flower with its pretty purpley pink flowers.
In the pea family?
Yeah, in the pea family. So that means that it's also good for putting nitrogen back into the soil as well. It's the name Goat's Rue because goats actually, you can give it to goats to increase the milk production. Humans can also use it for that reason as well. And it's also a really great herb for balancing blood sugar levels. Goat's Rue. Let's have a quick look at the Bog Sage, appropriate name.
Yep.
Growing in the bog. So it's really pretty, and we've had this one for a long time. It does get a bit weedy, so you do need to have it in
a lot weedy.
Yeah, a lot weedy. Yeah. You do need to have it in an area that you can contain it. But it's just lovely because it's so tall and they just sway in the breeze. And I love the colour of it. I love blue flowers.
Bog Sage isn't a great name for it, but
no.
I think we bought it first years and years and years ago as Blue Meadow Sage, which
Yeah.
I think is a nicer name.
It is a nicer name.
But everyone knows it as Bog Sage.
While we're here, we'll just have a look at the elder.
It's got ripe berries on it
Yeah,
now.
those flowers, we've got a really nice good bunch up there somewhere. So here's the nice big bunch here. Look at how juicy and lush they look.
Yeah, in our spring video, I think they were all just flowering.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
fully ripe now.
yeah. What are we going to do with those? They make a nice jam, actually.
Yeah.
Remember the time I made the elderberry and brandy and apple jam?
Yeah,
It was
that was
really
nice.
nice.
Yeah, we'd need a few more. The others aren't quite ripe yet.
They're not quite ready yet. Yeah.
Oh, look, the Echinaceas are looking good.
Yeah, Echinacea Cheyenne Spirit. So they're related to Echinacea purpurea. They're a variety of that. But I've got heaps planted in the garden over here, and they look really good. We have.
Mainly ornamental, but still have some medicinal properties, eh?
Yeah, they would, but they're so pretty, all the different colours.
Yeah.
They're really nice. Okay, let's go have a look at the Rosellas.
Okay.
So we've planted the Rosellas where the calendulas were.
Because the calendulas don't normally grow well through the summer months, and the Rosellas.
These will be ready to pick, hopefully before we want to put our calendulas in. And if not, we'll just use the leaves anyway until then. For salads, they have a tart lemony flavour.
Used a lot in Jamaica.
Yeah, used a lot in Jamaica. The Rosella flowers or calyx is what's used.
And we have one on this scrawny
We've got
little
one
plant.
on this little plant, so obviously this plant's not going to get too big, but that's what you can use to make jams, to make syrups. They're great just dried so that you've got them all year for herb teas. They add a nice red colour to a lot of different herb tea blends and so refreshing for summer. Such a great plant.
What are they
to have
also
for summer.
called? Not just Rosella.
Oh.
The dried herb is called?
Well, the plant is hibiscus. So a lot of
Hibiscus.
people know the dried Rosella as hibiscus.
As hibiscus,
But
yeah.
here in Australia, we've always called them Rosellas from when, well, certainly from as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
And the hibiscus is a name that's, you know, used in other countries.
And they make a really nice jam, don't they?
They make a lovely jam.
Rosella jam.
Yes.
And what did you think when you were a child?
I remember going to Grandma's place and she'd have a tin can of Rosella jam and it had a Rosella bird on the front. And I used to think that the jam was made out of the bird and I used to think it was so gross.
But it's
till I
actually
grew up a bit.
and it's one of your favourite jams.
Yeah, I love it, yeah. That's it for our summer garden tour. If you've got any questions, leave a comment below. I hope you enjoyed it and we'll see you in autumn. How's that mouth going, Mick?
Oh, good now. There's the milk, Sandra.